The April 9th, 2019 meeting of the Monroe County Legislature will now come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Alcoffer. Mr. Ansello. Mr. Baroth. Ms. Boyce. Mr. Brew. President Carbone.
Here.
Mr. Delahanty. Mrs. DeFlorio. Mrs. Draw. Mr. Felder. Mr. Flagler Mitchell. Ms. Harris. Mr. Hebert. Mr. Howland. Ms. Cayley. Mr. Lightfoot. Mr. Mafucci. Mr. Marinetti. Mr. Michike. Mr. Morelli. Mr. Moyo. Mr. Rockow. Mr. Shepard. Ms. Taylor. Mr. Terp. Mr. Wilcox. Mr. Wilt. Mr. Zale.
Please stay seated. I'd like to ask Pastor Alfonso Galvano of the Hope Christian Fellowship, who has been invited by legislator Tony Michike, to lead us in a moment of prayer. Pastor?
Thank you very much for inviting me. Can I ask all of us to stand, please, for a moment? We'd like to open up this session with God's wisdom and blessing. Father, we thank you this evening for this opportunity to be here, Lord. We ask you that as we begin this session, that your wisdom would fall upon these men and women, Lord, who lead the city. We ask that, Lord, you would be honored in all the choices and the decisions that are made, even here today. Lord, help us to understand that we are servants of the people, Lord, to do your bidding, to do what is best. So we ask you, Lord God, even right now, to rest upon us, that we may work together as one unit, that we might further this city, and that we might cause what is best for the people within it. We give you honor, we give you praise. In the name of Jesus we pray. Amen. Amen. God bless you. You may be seated.
Thank you, Pastor. Little certificate of our appreciation. Your appreciation. Thank you. Please stand as Legislator Joseph Morelli Jr. will now lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Legislator Morelli.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I ask you to remain standing. Without objection, we will take agenda item number 16 out of the regular agenda order. Agenda item number 16 is moved by Legislator Marinetti and seconded by Legislator Cayley. Will the clerk please read the resolution in memoriam for Judy Howland Curley, sister of Monroe County Legislator John Howland.
Expressing regret of the Monroe County Legislature on the recent passing of Judy Howland Curley, sister of Monroe County Legislator John Howland. Be it resolved that the Monroe County Legislature hereby expresses its deepest sympathy at the recent passing of Judy Howland Curley, sister of Monroe County Legislator John Howland. And whereas Judy passed away on March 9th, 2019 at the age of 76. And whereas Judy was born on November 23rd, 1942 to Charles Howland and Lillian LaRosa Howland. She was one of 5 siblings with Robert, John, Cynthia, and Leland. Judy married her husband, Graydon, with whom she had children Jaquez, Yvonne, Lori, and Scott. And whereas Judy is predeceased by her parents, Charles and Lillian, stepfather, Philip LaRosa, and brother Robert, and is survived by her husband, Graydon, children Jaquez, Webster Curley, Yvonne Humberstone, and Lori Orliglio, and Scott Webster, grandchildren Nathaniel, Bradley, Lindsay, Vincent, Isabella, and Sophia, Thomas and Grace, Dustin and Zachary, and Alexandria, a soon-to-be great-grandson, Elliot, siblings John Howland, Cynthia Shefflin, and Leland Howland, sister-in-law Janet Howland, aunts Vivian Plimpleton and Thelma Howland, and many nieces, nephews, and cousins. And whereas Judy will be remembered for her caring personality and will be missed by all who knew and loved her. And be it further resolved that the clerk of the legislature is hereby directed to forward a copy of this resolution to the bereaved family. This resolution was adopted unanimously, with each legislator rising in his or her place for a moment of silence.
Please continue to stand. Without objection, we will take agenda item number 17 out of the regular agenda order. Agenda item number 17 is moved by Legislator Marionetti and seconded by Legislator Cayley. Will the clerk please read the resolution of memoriam for David G. Proud, former Monroe County legislator?
Expressing regret of the Monroe County Legislature on the recent passing of David G. Proud, former Monroe County legislator. Be it resolved that the Monroe County Legislature hereby expresses its deepest sympathy at the recent passing of David G. Proud. And whereas David G. Proud passed away March 15, 2019 at the age of 82. And whereas David served as a legislator for District 5 in the Monroe County Legislature representing the town of Greece. And whereas David dedicated his life to serving his community, both as a United States Marine and serving in the county legislature, which he did proudly. He retired in 1994 from Rochester Gas and Electric. And whereas David is survived by his wife of 58 years, Mary Patricia McGarity Proud, his children, Timothy and Sue Proud, Julie and Robert Ludke, and Jeffrey and Terry Proud, his grandchildren, Timothy, Erica, Robert, Kirsten, Jeffrey, Sarah, Jake, Kelly, and Ryan, great-grandchildren, Jackson and Elliot, daughter-in-law, Tess, step-grandchildren, Kim, Lisa, and Angelo, step-great-grandchildren, Bella, Marky, and Gino, brothers Ronald and Gary, cousins Joan White and Donald Neary, and several nieces, nephews, and dear friends. David was predeceased by his son, David W. Proud, and sister Dolores. And whereas David will be remembered by all who knew and loved him as a kind soul who was always willing to lend a hand and was a friendly face to all. He was happiest surrounded by his children and grandchildren and will be missed by all who knew him. Be it further resolved that the clerk of the legislature is hereby directed to forward a copy of this resolution to the bereaved family. This resolution was adopted unanimously, with each legislator rising in his or her place for a moment of silence.
Please continue to stand. Without objection, we will take agenda item number 18 out of the regular agenda order. Agenda item number 18 is moved by Legislator Marionetti and seconded by Legislator Cayley. Will the clerk please read the resolution of memoriam for James F. Nagel, former Monroe County legislator?
Expressing regret of the Monroe County Legislature on the recent passing of James F. Nagel, former Monroe County legislator. Be it resolved that the Monroe County Legislature hereby expresses its deepest sympathy at the recent passing of James F. Nagel. And whereas James F. Nagel passed away March 26, 2019 at the age of 91. And whereas James was born on February 15, 1927 and was a lifelong resident of Monroe County. James served as a legislator for District 10 in the Monroe County Legislature, representing his hometown of East Rochester from 1973 to 1976. And whereas James dedicated his life to serving his community, first as a member of the Army National Guard and later as a trustee of the Village of East Rochester, Monroe County legislator, and New York State Assemblyman. And whereas James was able to rise from being a salesperson all the way to becoming president of wholesaler H.P. Brewster Company, showing that perseverance served him well his entire life. Whereas James is survived by his wife of 65 years, Barbara, his children David, Lawrence, and Jean, grandchildren Emily, Laura, Sarah, Sean, James, and Joshua, 11 great-grandchildren, and many nieces and nephews. James was predeceased by his brother, Thomas, and sister Elizabeth. And whereas James will be remembered for his kindness and dedication to his community, he will be missed by all who knew and loved him. Be it further resolved that the clerk of the legislature is hereby directed to forward a copy of this resolution to the bereaved family. This resolution was adopted unanimously, with each legislator rising in his or her place for a moment of silence.
Thank you. Please be seated. Your copy of the Journal of Day 3, March 12, 2019 is available on your tablet. Without exception, the Journal will stand approved as submitted. I'd like to take a minute to congratulate our clerk, Jack Moffett, on the birth of his first child, John Davis Moffett III, born March 15th. Special happy birthday to Legislator Mafucci. Happy birthday. I saw him before, but I don't know if he's still here. I'd like to introduce Steve Korn, chairman of our Independence Party. I don't see him now, but welcome anyways, Chairman Korn. There's a hearing loop in place tonight to assist those who are hearing impaired. Anyone requiring assistance should inquire in the clerk's office.
If you have a cellular phone, pager, or other electronic device in your possession, I would request that you make it inaudible for the duration of the meeting. Thank you for your cooperation.
Legislators, the referrals submitted to the legislature for the next committee cycle are available on your tablet as well as online. There are several proclamations scheduled this evening. Mr. Clerk.
Will Deputy Luke Zaporowski please come forward? Also, President Dr. Joe Carbone, Legislator Carla Boyce, and County Executive Cheryl Donalfo. Whereas, it is the work of heroes in our community that make Monroe County a safe place to live, work, and raise a family. When our first responders and community members work together to help others, there is nothing they cannot accomplish. On March 15th of 2019, Monroe County Sheriff's Deputy Luke Zaporowski saved the lives of 7 Mendon residents whose home had caught on fire. And whereas Deputy Zaporowski was on routine patrol when he noticed flames coming from the garage of a home on Clover Street in the town of Mendon. After calling for the fire department, Deputy Zaporowski was able to alert the homeowners and safely evacuate 2 adults and 5 children. And whereas Deputy Zaporowski acted quickly to make sure the family was out of harm's way, firefighters from the Mendon Fire District were able to extinguish the fire. Deputy Zaporowski's swift action and courage saved the lives of an entire family. He has shown that careful observation and quick thinking can make all the difference. And whereas Monroe County is proud to be the home of such brave members of law enforcement like Deputy Zaporowski. We thank Deputy Zaporowski and all of our first responders who work tirelessly every day to keep our community safe. Now, therefore, we, Cheryl Donalfo, Monroe County Executive, Dr. Joe Carbone, President, and Carla Boyce, Legislator, District 5, on behalf of the residents of Monroe County, do hereby recognize and congratulate Deputy Luke Zaporowski on his selfless, heroic actions that saved the lives of Monroe County residents.
Thank you, everyone. Just simply doing my job that night. Happened to be in the right place at the right time, so I'm happy. I was there to put an end to the situation before it got worse. Thank you to all of my fellow coworkers and Sheriff Baxter and Chief Fowler and all my other supervisors who came out to be with me today, too. So thank you.
Will Lou Ferrari please come forward? Also, President Dr. Joe Carbone, Legislator Frank Alcoffer, and Legislator Mike Zale. Starting to get the hang of it. Whereas Monroe County relies on local businesses to create a robust economy, and Luigia's Ice Cream is one of the many in the area that helps create such an economically strong region. And whereas Lou Ferrari and his wife Melinda opened Luigia's Ice Cream in the town of Ogden in 1995, creating a business that everyone in the community is excited to go to. And whereas, named after their children, Louie and Gia, Luigia's has expanded from a small building serving generous helpings of ice cream into a business that includes a fleet of ice cream trucks to reach even further into the community. And whereas, throughout its history, Luigia's has created a welcoming atmosphere where everyone can go see friends and neighbors while enjoying a tasty summertime treat. They truly are big on family, big on flavor, and big on giving their customers the very best. Now, therefore, we, Dr. Joe Carbone, President, Frank X. Alcoffer, Legislator, District 4, and Mike Zale, Legislator, District 20, on behalf of the entire Monroe County Legislature, do hereby recognize and congratulate Lou Ferrari for helping to create an even better community in the town of Ogden through Luigia's Ice Cream.
I'd just like to say this is very humbling for our family. We've been around for quite a few years, and without our community, we wouldn't be here. So it's always good to give back to the community to the best that you can. Thank you very much for this.
Will Anthony Noto please come forward? Also, President Dr. Joe Carbone and Legislator Carla Boyce. Whereas, wrestling is a sport that requires year-round dedication and perseverance. A wrestler must spend countless hours training both mind and body to be successful, adhering to strict training regimens that can never be eased. Any competition is the culmination of a lifetime of preparation and practice, and to succeed, a wrestler must defeat an opponent who has undoubtedly prepared an equal amount. And whereas, Anthony Noto has consistently demonstrated the values and determination that are necessary to succeed in the sport. After a long, exhausting season, one member of the Honey Falls Lima High School wrestling team was able to prove themselves against the toughest competition and come away with state championship. On February 23, 2019, Anthony Noto earned the title of state champion for the third consecutive time at the Times Union Center in Albany. Noto was named the meet's most outstanding wrestler in Division II. And whereas Anthony's hard work in wrestling has earned him 3 New York State titles, as just a sophomore at Honey Falls Lima High School, Anthony defeated Micah Rose from Lowville in the final round of the meet. Anthony finished his season with a winning record of 42-1. Anthony is a role model for all student athletes in Monroe County, and we wish him the very best of luck in the future. Now, therefore, we, Dr. Joe Carbone, President, and Carla F. Boyce, Legislator, District 5, on behalf of the entire Monroe County Legislature, do hereby recognize and congratulate Anthony Noto for winning 3 consecutive wrestling state championships.
All right, hard work pays off, never give up. And I want to thank my dad and my family for taking me everywhere. I always practice. Thank you guys. Love you guys. Thank you.
Will T.N. Shing Stevens please come forward? Also, President Dr. Joe Carbone, Legislator Vincent R. Felder, Legislator John Lightfoot, Legislator Ernest Fleigler Mitchell, and Legislator Lachey D. Harris. Whereas, it is the sense of these legislators to honor individuals and organizations who make a positive impact on our community. And whereas, attendant to such concern and in full accord with longstanding tradition, these legislators are justly proud to offer T.N. Shing Stevens. And whereas, in March 2018, 14-year-old Trayvon Rowe went missing from school number 12, prompting Tian Xing to join the search party. And whereas Tian Xing, a 17-year-old senior at McQuaid High School, a volunteer and alum of school number 12, witnessed the devastating outcome of Trayvon's death. And whereas, wishing to help Trayvon's family, Tian started a GoFundMe page that raised over $26,000 for last expenses. Overwhelmed with the outpouring of community support, Tian hope is that we continue to look out for each other to prevent a tragedy like Trayvon's from ever happening again. Now, therefore, let it be known that we, Dr. Joe Carbone, President, Vincent R. Felder, Legislator, District 22, John Lightfoot, Assistant Minority Leader, Ernest Flagler Mitchell, Assistant Minority Leader, and Lachey D. Harris, Legislator, District 27, on behalf of the entire Monroe County Legislature, do hereby honor Tian Xing Stevens for his generous spirit, his caring for others, and for his brave actions on this 9th day of April, 2019.
Good afternoon. Though I did initially start the GoFundMe page, it was definitely truly a community effort. I really felt a connection to Trayvon Rowe when I heard the news that he passed away. And I also felt an obligation to start the GoFundMe page. So I want to thank everybody in the community who donated. I want to thank my mom, of course. Thank you.
Would Coach Todd Julian and members of the Pittsford Men and Girls Basketball team please come forward? Also, President Dr. Joe Carbone, Legislator Howard Mafucci, and Legislator Carla Boyce. They're coming. They're making their way in. That's right.
Congratulations on
Oh,
your
thank you very much.
That's right. Good luck. It changes your life.
I'm learning.
It's an early night.
This is the Monroe girls basketball team.
Oh, basketball. Yeah.
Yeah, you can line up across the front here.
Come on, ladies. Don't be shy.
Whereas it is the sense of this legislature to honor and celebrate achievement across Monroe County. And whereas, attendant to such concern and in full accord with longstanding tradition, these legislators are justly proud to honor the Pittsford Men and Girls Basketball team. And whereas, coached by Todd Julian, this Mendon team built upon its recent run of success by capturing its third straight Section 5 Class A title. In the New York State playoffs, the Vikings captured the Western Regional title to advance to the state final. And whereas, captains Ellie Mooney, Alana Fersman, and Courtney Noggle led the Vikings to victory in the state final to become the Class A New York State Public High School Athletic Association champions, the first Class A or Class AA Section 5 team to do so. In addition, Alana Fersman was named the MVP of the tournament. And whereas, as important as their awards and success are on the court, these young women also continue the Mendon tradition of excelling in the classroom and displaying positive leadership in the community. Now, therefore, let it be known that we, Dr. Joe Carbone, President, Howard Mafucci, Legislator, District 10, and Carla Boyce, Legislator, District 5, do hereby honor the Pittsford Men and Girls Basketball team on this 9th day of April, 2019.
Well, on behalf of Men and Girls Basketball, we really want to thank you for having us here today. It's a great honor, and I can say it's been very humbling for me personally to be able to coach a great group of kids like this for a number of years. And to see them recognized by a group like this is just a great event for us. So thank you very much. Much appreciated.
Congratulations, Chris.
Here, just put that back on there.
Hold on a second. Would Coach Bob Nally and members of the Pittsburgh men and boys basketball team please come forward? Also, President Dr. Joe Carbone, Legislator Howard Mafucci, and Legislator Carla Boyce. Whereas it is the sense of this legislature to honor and celebrate achievement across Monroe County, and whereas, attendant to such concern and in full accord with longstanding tradition, these legislators are justly proud to honor the Pittsburgh men and boys basketball team. And whereas head coach Bob Nally and assistant coach Jeff Amoroso led a Mendon team that finished the regular season undefeated and wanted to capture its first Section 5 title in 16 years. And whereas captains Connor Kraft, Mike Harrington, and Dan Cook kept the Viking season rolling in the state playoffs by winning the Class A West Regional Final before falling in the state finals. And whereas, as important as their awards and success are on the court, these young men also continue the Mendon tradition of excelling in the classroom and displaying positive leadership in the community. Now, therefore, let it be known that we, Dr. Joe Carbone, President, Howard Mafucci, Legislator District 10, and Carla Boyce, Legislator District 5, do hereby honor the Pittsburgh Mendon boys basketball team on this 9th day of April, 2019.
Thank you, Monroe County, for acknowledging us in tonight's chambers. We had a special year, as was just said. These guys, it was a privilege to coach this team this year, a special group of kids. We ended up having an undefeated season and made it all the way to the state finals. Couldn't be more proud of these guys. They're going to be great leaders. They are great leaders, but they're going to be really great community leaders. And I'm looking forward to watching them grow. Congrats, guys.
Would Coach Marty Keating and members of the Pittsburgh boys swimming and diving team please come forward? Also, President Dr. Joe Carbone, Legislator Howard Mafucci, and Legislator Carla Boyce. You can line up in front. And then... Whereas it is the sense of this legislature to honor and celebrate achievement across Monroe County, and whereas attendant to such concern and in full accord with longstanding tradition, these legislators are justly proud to honor the Pittsburgh boys swimming and diving team, and whereas head coach Marty Keating guided perennial powerhouse Pittsburgh to another successful season in Section 5 swimming and diving, posting an undefeated season to cap off a 17th consecutive Class A championship. Whereas captains Christopher Knight, Matthew Lucha, Bailey Rose, Eric Fan, and Kyle Yuan led the team to Long Island for state championships where 3 relay teams placed in the top 10. Liam Murphy, the Monroe County Division I Swimmer of the Year, placed 4th and 7th in individual events. And whereas, as important as their success at the pool is, these young men also continue the Pittsford tradition of excelling in the classroom and displaying positive leadership in the community. Now, therefore, let it be known that we, Dr. Joe Carbone, President, Howard Mafucci, Legislator District 10, and Carla Boyce, Legislator District 5, do hereby honor the Pittsford Boys Swimming and Diving Team on this 9th day of April, 2019.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the county legislature and deal with the fact that these boys and the community have really led to the success of the program. And through their hard work and dedication and year-round involvement, we've been able to be successful. Thank you very much for the recognition.
Would Coach John Nally and members of the Pittsford Sutherland boys basketball team please come forward? Also, President Dr. Joe Carbone, Legislator Howard Mafucci, and Legislator Carla Boyce. Whereas it is the sense of this legislature to honor and celebrate achievement across Monroe County. And whereas, attendant to such concern and in full accord with longstanding tradition, these legislators are justly proud to honor the Pittsford Sutherland boys basketball team. And whereas head coach John Nally led the Pittsford Sutherland Knights to another successful season in Section 5 basketball. And whereas captains Stratton Hansey and Matthew Panera didn't let a 500 record in league play dampen their spirits and carried Sutherland to the Section 5 Class AA title, knocking off the #1 seed along the way. And whereas, as important as their success on the court is, these young men also continue the Sutherland tradition of excelling in the classroom and displaying positive leadership in the community. Now, therefore, let it be known that we, Dr. Joe Carbone, President, Howard Mafucci, Legislator District 10, and Carla Boyce, Legislator District 5, do hereby honor the Pittsford Sutherland boys basketball team on this 9th day of April, 2019.
Thank you so much for having us here tonight. I'd like to thank the Monroe County Legislature for having us and for everything that you guys do here for the community. It was my privilege to work with the boys this year. Matt Panera here, certainly one of my favorite guys all time after 19 years of coaching. And we had a lot of injuries this year that we were able to overcome and went into the tournament as a 6th seed. And we're fortunate enough to get it going right at the right time and have a couple upsets over the #3 seed and the #1 seed in the tournament. And so certainly of all the teams that I've had, probably one of the most memorable, and I know that the guys really enjoyed it. And so thank you again for having us and recognizing us tonight.
There are no formal committee reports scheduled for this evening. We will now hold a public forum. We have several people registered to address the legislature. Mr. Clerk.
If you require assistance, a deputy is available to assist you in approaching the lectern. I will call 3 people forward at one time. Each speaker will have 2 minutes in which to address the legislature, and kindly conclude your remarks when the timer sounds and exit through the rear of the chambers. Thank you for your cooperation. Our first 3 speakers will be Patrick Broswell, Kim Doer, and Tyrone Hotch.
I'm Patrick Braswell from the Rochester Homeless Union, representing the House of Mercy, Rochester, New York. I had actually written a speech, but after sitting back there thinking, you know, I got a problem with seeing things in my surroundings that I really disagree with, that's heartfelt, that bothers me. Like the people with the hope for the children and hope for the homeless. They have to come here week by week. How many times? I mean, I'm here all the time. Today, I was at a shelter, and I pay attention, like I say. I was sitting to the table, and I remember this white woman, when she first came to this shelter, she seemed to be like one of the upper class, progressive side society members that we're used to seeing driving a nice car. And back and forth, me going back and forth to this shelter, I'm basically watching her deteriorate, going downhill. She's still attempting to dress like a normal, everyday person. Still trying to have the mentality to do good or to do right. But it's disturbing her to the extent where it allows me to know that she don't belong in places like this. Everybody runs into an obstacle in their lives. You go up to the Department of Social Services, you never get help. She didn't. I talked to her about it. You go this place, I probably talked to every assemblyman, every senator that you could possibly name in New York. I go places to try to get bills passed, try to get assistance, try to get help. Come here and try to talk to help people. None of it seems to be working. But like I say, I'm a thinker, and I love people. I have a concern about our society. The Rochester Homeless Union is a group of formerly homeless people or homeless people. We're not doing what we do for financial gain. We don't even ask for money. But I will ask each and every one of you to participate in helping these people that need help. I'm going to ask, because we're going to start registering voters. We go to these senators, assembly members, whoever we need to go to try to get bills passed, like the home stability support, that'll pay 85% of the rent, instead of $277 through the Department of Social Services, enabling people to be just put in these rooms in drug areas, and they're falling apart, just like this woman at the shelter getting strung out on drugs, alcohol, finding themselves in some type of criminal situation. We've asked for everybody's support here. And I've been beginning to recognize this is disconcern or you're really apathetic about what's going on. That should give me or provoke me to just throw the towel in and do nothing. But it's making me stronger. It's making me know that I got to work harder to help these people. So I'm going to ask, we're registering voters. The homeless, we got a lot of them registered. You can either support us or we're going to get the people in office that will.
Good afternoon. My name is Tyrone Hodge. I'm with Homeless Union, and I, like Patrick, see situations happen every day. When I was here last, I talked to you about being on a committee, like I was last here, and I was trying to relate somehow to you guys members and how you all do things, and being on that committee, though it has ups and downs, it must go forward, and the issues are the subject matter. They must go forward, and all those in favor will support that cause. Our cause has been the sanctions, what has been the cankerworm of the community. Its deplorable administration has been a device used to destroy the process of individuals striving to repair their lives as they experience the continuity of added disappointment sanctions entail. We learn to move on from the disrespectful ignorance of no return phone calls and promises unkept for follow-up meetings. We express a sincere appreciation to those assembly members that has acknowledged our plight and thankful for their continuing to further this cause. Those that are the following: Harry Bronson, Jamie Romeo, Rachel May, just to name a few. The silence that we receive to the unanswered questions as to why Monroe County seems to have tripled in the distribution of sanctions as opposed to the surrounding counties, we've decided to no longer wait around for these answers, but to equip ourselves with information. We've decided that we are no longer going to wait for those answers, but to become what we need. We're going to become just what we need to go forward. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kim Dewar. I'm a special needs mom. My daughter Vivian has been receiving early intervention services since December 2016, OT, PT, speech, special ed, teacher of the visually impaired, and parent-child group. She had to wait briefly for speech therapy at first, but a very short period of time, and we were extremely lucky and fortunate that we didn't have to suffer from the crisis that the families are in right now. The first time I came here, I brought my whole family up, my 3 kids, my husband, and I talked about how early intervention saved my family. Then I went to Albany and I spoke to assemblymen and senators about my story and about the legal obligation that they have to provide early intervention services to kids that are in need and in a timely fashion. The county and the state have a legal obligation to do so. The last time I came here, I spoke about the 195 kids waiting at that time and the providers suffering from moral injury. The moral injury that's driving them out of the work that they're so passionate and skilled at. The moral injury that's forcing vulnerable kids to wait for services that they are obligated to and need. Now the waiting list I heard tonight is 212. Then I participated in an interview for the city newspaper that was published this week. If you haven't read it, please do. My daughter's featured in there. She's very adorable. I'm not so bad either. Tonight, I want to talk about your own moral injury. I have recently thought about how it must be hard for you guys listening to all of our stories and learning of this crisis in the county and the state. And I want to acknowledge that you all got into your roles for all the right reasons, and it was to help people. And now you're forced to participate and witness this crisis too. And it's against what you believe in. So how do we stop this moral injury? We change the system. We vote yes tonight to approve the 15% increase for preschool services. Thank you for doing that ahead of time. We vote to implement emergency funding for early intervention rate increases and service coordination rate increases, and we propose permanent increases to funding for these same services. We do what is morally and legally right for our children. We are counting on all of you. Thank you.
Our next 3 speakers are Donald Adams, Melissa Marr, and Joanne Sassa.
Good evening to you, assemblymen. Once again, I'm here. I asked the question. I sit and I watch. You do all your awards. How you clap. How you smile. All of a sudden now the atmosphere has changed in here and the level has went down. but you are lawmakers. I say it again. It's your job to help us. Y'all asked us to turn it down, and we did. But guess what? We had to go over your head to Albany. We found out the truth. Most of you sitting here, you lied to us. But I promise you this. And I'm so glad that these cameramen are here. I wish you could edit it. It's your job. How can you sit in a city that is highest in homelessness and go to sleep at night and it don't bother you? We come here month after month after month. We're not going to beg you no more. Food for thought. We about to turn the volume up. When I say turn the volume up, we're going to be on your job. We're going to be at your house. We're going to be at your church, and we're going to meet you at the post. Cheryl DeFillo, it's time for you to go.
Thank you for allowing me to speak this evening. My name is Melissa Marr, and I am a special education teacher for Liberty Post. As a special education teacher working with early intervention and preschool special education populations, I have read numerous articles, studies, and have researched websites that discuss the importance of early childhood education and intervention support. The common theme found is that the more you can support a child when they are younger, the more successful they will be academically and socially as they move through their educational career as school-age students. This is why I work with these children to support them and their families and hopefully help them form a love of learning at an early age. However, throughout my 15 years of teaching in this county, I have watched things drastically change in this area and within our state in regard to educational funding and systematic changes that have negatively impacted the availability of these services to our most fragile members of our community. The ongoing lack of state rate increases and local rate increases in these systems has caused valued and talented professionals to find work elsewhere and for our children to wait months on a wait list as there is not anyone available to deliver the services that they are qualified to receive. Currently, as you've heard earlier, there are 212 children on our early intervention wait list in Monroe County. In addition, school districts that report not having a wait list are in the minority. The needs of our children are not decreasing. This system is continuously losing talented professionals, and our children are directly affected. It is time to address this educational crisis that we face in this county and in our state head on. This is clearly not a problem that is going to solve itself, and it requires your support and your advocacy. The 15% rate increase for preschool special education services proposed by Monroe County Executive Cheryl Dinolfo is a huge step in the right direction. While it is far from what is needed to bridge the gap, it sends a vital message to our community and to our state that Monroe County understands and values the significance that these services have on our children and our families. Thank you.
I'm here to ask you legislators to address poor county policies in transportation and in economic development. Bill Carpenter has headed transportation for nearly a decade, is paid twice what Dinolfo earns, and still manages to run a stuck-in-the-50s transportation system. Bill Carpenter earns more than Sandra Dorley, more than Brett Kavanaugh, more than Nancy Pelosi, and more than our 50 governors. He conducts endless impact studies and will still manage to propose this summer to his transportation board that is a plan that is an insult to bus ridership needs. Carpenter's board members never ride a bus. Carpenter and Dinolfo back financial home for former Brooks staff like Dan DeLaus and Justin Fiesel. Donalfo's Comita Board. Let's Donalfo run a Developer of the Year economic policy after gifting Robert Morgan every 2 or 3 months in 2017 and 18. Donalfo now focuses on Wilmot's requests for public assistance. On the side, Donalfo recently gave the billionaire Sands brothers over $800,000 help for their 3-city center project in the former Frontier building. Also, while Child Protective Services and other safety net organizations like the House of Mercy here tonight, while they beg Donalfo for help, she chose Jared Lusk to help with Comita's pay-to-play games. I ask you legislators to please harness in these policies. Thank you.
Our next 3 speakers are Ellen Mancuso, Karen Spaughton, and Robert Kehoe.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I am going to continue on with all of the reasons why we voted no confidence in President Ann Kress on November 14th. Item number 3, a unilateral and highly punitive change without prior notice to the contractually negotiated cost-sharing health care provisions for retirees who have faithfully served the taxpayers of Monroe County and New York State that will result in litigation costs and student and taxpayer expense. So you heard that right. There's money that are going to be going to outsource to lawyers who support the college administration while they hurt retirees. I think that's becoming a theme in the county. Number 4, intimidation of employees, including women and employees of color, who have asked for contractually negotiated union assistance or have served in positions of elected authority on the faculty senate. Intimidation. Number 5, failure to keep accurate personnel records and to correct basic errors in years of service awarded to employees. The error rate exceeds basic human resources industry standards and regularly approaches 10%. They can't even keep good records. Number 6, reversal without prior notice of contractually negotiated and state-mandated letters of agreement on the need for progressive discipline and due process practices. The refusal of minimal communication, forewarning, or consultation despite explicit contractual agreement to discuss with the Faculty Association matters of personnel prior to any final disciplinary action. That included late additions of complaints to the official personnel records, and it occurred despite state-mandated organizations such as the Faculty Council of Community Colleges, which designate one of 3 areas of working models of the collegial shared governance as included shared managing of personnel matters. At an institution of higher learning, there usually is a collegial agreement where we all work together for shared governance, and that includes allowing the Faculty Association to be there when there's a personnel issue. Obviously, our administration, they have not read the rules. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Karen Spaughton. I consider myself to be an early childhood specialist. This is a momentous evening for families of children ages 3 to 5 with special needs and the related service providers. After years of advocating for an increase in reimbursement rates, tonight the vote will occur that authorizes more spending. However, as I've stated numerous times before in this chambers, this is only the beginning. The current gap between costs and reimbursement rates was calculated to be 30%, double of what actually is being authorized tonight, which means that next year increases will also have to be discussed and improved, so we will be back. In the area of the birth to 3 services, additional ongoing service coordinators need to be hired by the county to decrease the gap. Once there were 40, now there are 15. Obviously, the state of New York holds some guilt in all this too, and they only proposed a very insufficient and minimal increase of 5% for evaluations, special education, teacher services, and classrooms. This continues to hinder some of our children in Monroe County from receiving what they need. It has obviously been the complexities of the birth to 5 special education services that has allowed this travesty to go on for years. I do want to finally say that I want to thank the county executive and this legislature board for taking these first steps. We have ways to go. I do feel that there is leadership in this chamber and that we could be the beacon for the rest of New York State because services across the state are hurting just as much as we are. So tonight again, I'd like to challenge you to take on this cause to make a difference in millions of children's lives. Change needs to start somewhere, and I could see Monroe County being that beacon. We could be that instrument of change, not only for the children that live in our 1,400 square miles, but for children who reside all across New York State. Thank you.
Good evening. I found it quite ironic the young deputy received the recognition tonight, certainly well-deserved for saving the lives of that family out in Mendon. But the men and women who were around this chamber tonight wearing that uniform and all of the people wearing the red shirts in the back would do the same thing. And the young man in his remarks humbly said he was only doing his job, and that's the job we do. And we did for 20 or 25 or 30 years. And I say it's ironic because, as you probably know, all of the unions that represent the sworn members of the sheriff's office, that would be the jail, the road patrol, court security, and the civil bureau, over 800 active law enforcement officers currently employed by this county, have recently endorsed Adam Bello for county executive. They were joined by the union representing the professional firefighters at the Greater Rochester International Airport, who also endorsed Mr. Bello. In response to this strong public support for her opponent by her own public safety employees, a spokesperson for Mr. Nolfo issued a statement that read, in part, "The county executive is deeply grateful for the contributions of all first responders, and she looks forward to supporting them through 2019 and beyond." I submit to you, ladies and gentlemen, that is nonsense, because we, the retired first responders of this county, know all too well just what Ms. Dinolfo's so-called support and that of her legislative colleagues really means. When I first stood at this podium some 18 months ago and spoke to you on behalf of the Sheriff's Office Association of Retirees, most of you were totally unaware of any issue regarding retiree health care benefits. I told you at that time that we were not going away until the benefits that we had been contractually promised were restored to us, and we asked for your support to make that happen. Well, quite obviously, we have not gone away. And I can assure you we will not be going away over the course of the next 7 months. Because this administration and this legislative majority have failed to stand up, have failed to do the right thing, and have failed to keep the promises that were made to us. Thank you.
Our next 3 speakers are Elizabeth McGregor, Grace Miller, and Ray Battaglia.
Good evening. My name is Liz McGregor.
I am an independent speech pathologist. I would like to thank you for considering the 15% increase in rates for preschool services. Your favorable response demonstrates your understanding of the need to support the most vulnerable people in our community. Unfortunately, the early intervention program remains in crisis. The 5% rate increase that was just passed in the state budget is a perfect example of how out of touch or insensitive our governor and his colleagues are. Those in Albany stated the increase is intended to help attract providers to begin providing EI services and to retain current EI providers with the goals of decreasing provider capacity concerns, improving timelines and quality of service delivery in the early intervention program, and recognizing the specialized education and training of these service providers. So let's break this down. With a 5% rate increase, my colleagues in other settings are still making 35% more on average than those of us in the early intervention program. So I wonder exactly how it is that the governor thinks this will attract and retain providers. As for improving the timeliness and quality of service delivery, that begins with the service coordinators. And as you will recall, we don't have enough of those in Monroe County. Due to no fault of their own, the service coordinators are forced to take shortcuts, and as a result, more non-billable work is being pushed off onto the providers. Remember that for every client contact hour we work, there is already an additional 2 hours of non-billable work. There are only so many hours in a day. It is not possible for us to take on clients if we are doing 2.5 to 3 hours of non-billable work for every hour of therapy. The reality is that the early intervention program needs to be reformed in a way that streamlines the process so that it will run more efficiently and cost effectively. You are once again invited to spend a day with me at work to understand firsthand what I do as an early intervention provider. As providers, it is our goal and our hope to have you work with us and those in Albany to improve this system. The system is broken. It needs to be reformed. You are the elected officials who can make this happen. This is not about left versus right. It is about right versus wrong. And it is wrong when children are not given hope. Thank you.
Recently, we met with a Democratic Assemblyman regarding the sanctions, which we're asking you to get rid of. Within a day, he signed on for the sanctions bill. One day, and he did it. This holds true for other Democrats we have been working with. And what a sad commentary on you Republicans. Compare this to a meeting we were supposed to have with Cheryl D'Onofrio and her staff regarding the sanctions. Your staff, Cheryl, promised we would meet again before the end of January. Your staff said they would call us. We said we wanted you at the meeting. You never called, so we called you. To date, none of you have responded to our calls. What are you laughing about? There's nothing funny about what we're talking about tonight. You are purposely ignoring us. We are now in the month of April, 3 months later, and still no word from you and your staff. Also, we requested the meeting with Cheryl D'Onofrio, who never came to the meeting. The assemblyman we called met with us himself. He did not send representatives. For years, we've been coming here to this Republican-controlled legislature, begging for reforms in this county regarding the harsh treatment of welfare recipients, the extremely hard punitive sanctions, and rescinding the brutal burial policy established in 2006 by Maggie Brooks, which is causing suffering for many of our poor. Our poor have been suffering under your reign. For years we've been pleading with you to relieve their burdens. You purposely ignore us and refuse to listen to us, which tells us you don't care about our poor in our city and county. But your day is coming. Your days of control will soon be over. Poor people are getting tired of you ignoring them, ignoring their plight. They know how to vote. They're getting stronger, and they will be at the polls.
Good evening. My name is Ray Battaglia. I'm a retired court deputy. Today, April 9th, 40 years ago, I was sworn into the Sheriff's Department by Sheriff William Lombard and assigned to the Court Security Bureau. I spent my whole career of 28 years in this bureau, the same bureau that the deputies in blue that are protecting us here in the courts, in the room here. I'm a second-generation law enforcement. My dad, Joseph, was a retired captain with the Rochester Police Department, and later on was police and fire commissioner of the city of Rochester. Many retired officers from RPD who served with and under my dad have approached me to say Dad was a cop's cop and was a fair and honorable boss and enjoyed working with him. Dad was a great father too. Dad taught me to respect and honor God, country, the law, and promises made, to fulfill those promises. The county administration has not kept and lived up to those promises. SOAR members and my fellow brothers and sisters, would you please rise? Stand up and be recognized. All of the Monroe County Sheriff Department deputies who turned 65 years of age and are Medicare eligible, this county administration cut our promised health care benefits, even though our contract says retirees of the county, the retirees of the county of Monroe shall receive fully paid Blue Cross Blue Shield protection or at least equal coverage benefits for the retiree and their spouse and dental insurance until death. When we most need our health care benefits at this age, it has been cut. This administration is in breach of our contracts, but they don't care. So it goes to the Republican majority of the legislature to rebuff those cuts and restore our health care benefits. They have not. In the past 7 county administrations, 6 were Republicans and 5 lived up to those promises, except the Brooks and Denolfo administrations. My prediction for this year's election of both administration and the majority of legislature will be won by the Democrats. My shirt says, "We kept our promise." Did you? No, you didn't. I'm a veteran of the U.S. Air Force and took an oath, a promise to serve and protect and I served in Southeast Asia during the Vietnam War. And again, I took an oath, a promise to serve and protect in the Sheriff's Department. We did with honor, and we kept our promise. Give us back our health care that was promised to us. Otherwise, you'll be in the gallery with us next year.
Our next 3 speakers are Kevin Yost, Danielle Salamone, and Cynthia Tolman.
Good evening. My name is Kevin Yost, an ordinary resident of Monroe County, the town of Henrietta. I fail to understand why the county's funding exorbitant, extravagant, expensive renovations of the Monroe County Airport, the Seneca Park Zoo, take that back, Greater Russia International Airport, and the county executive's office when the Child Protective Service is not being adequately funded and staffed. And then I would also add something I was not aware of until hearing previous speakers tonight, the retired deputy and first responders benefits and food, clothing, and shelter for the homeless, less fortunate, as well as early intervention. It should also be funded instead of these other extravagant, three extravagant renovations as well. That this unnecessary renovation of the airport displaces public art that was placed in the airport in the early 90s, and its last renovation, and a lot of it is in limbo. They don't know where it's going to go. Although I did state perhaps a year or so ago that ideas where it could go, but thinking it need to be moved because of need for more advertising there, but really it's excessive renovation there that was not necessary, and other things should be funded instead. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Danielle Salamone. I'm here to speak on behalf of the vote for the 15% increase for preschool educators this evening. So I have two kids that have gone through EI. I have a 6-year-old who's currently in first grade, and I have a 2.5-year-old where we are just starting the transition from early intervention to preschool at the school district level. So we have providers in my house all the time. Speaking from a family member's point of view, these people become members of our family. They are amazing people, and both of my kids took their first steps with a physical therapist from early intervention. Both of my kids were able to deal with sensory needs because of things that these providers taught me, and they came into my house to do it. I didn't have to go anywhere. There were lots of weeks where I had providers in my house every day, and it made such a difference to my children. They wouldn't be where they are today without the services that we have received. One of the providers got up here earlier and asked if you would like to follow her around for the day. I'd like to ask if you would like to follow me. You can see how incredibly hard these providers work. Most are on the road all day going from one end of the county to the other. There have been times in my past where I've had 1 to 2 providers at my house every day of the week. These providers have become members of my family, and I am here to speak up and speak out for them. They deserve the 15%, and I thank you for voting yes tonight.
Hello again. I forgot my pink shirt, but I'm here to talk on behalf of the Hope for Children. My name is Cynthia Tolman. I'm the director and CEO of a local agency that employs many evaluators and therapists in Monroe County. I appreciate this opportunity to speak on behalf of the independent and agency providers in this community, as well as the children and families that we serve in Monroe County. We've joined together under the phrase Hope for Children, and tonight I have hope. First, I'd like to thank this legislature. Many of you attended the roundtable that was held in January. Some have joined state committees to advocate for children with special needs and families in the state, and many of you have answered numerous emails and phone calls from our provider community. The reality, sadly, is that the number of children in early intervention and preschool who are waiting for services continues to grow monthly. There are, as you've heard previously tonight, 212 children now on the waiting list in early intervention as of last week. That does not include children ages 3 to 5 in school districts who are also waiting for needed services. The county executive is to be commended for the effort she has made on our behalf in Albany and for recommending that preschool rates for speech, OT, and PT be increased in Monroe. I'm here to ask that both sides of this legislature put the children first and continue to work together for the betterment of the children in our community. Vote for this much-needed increase. I'm very grateful for all of your assistance and for what I hope will be a positive vote this evening. I also recognize that our work is not done. We are just beginning. We continue to need your help at the state level. That's going to be a big job, but I think we're up to it. Thank you again.
Our next three speakers are Rita Lewis, Tracy Taylor, and Bridget Hurley.
I want to speak tonight regarding the sanctions bill that is in the New York State Legislature. You know, you should be advocating to end the sanctions yourself, because those sanctions add people to the homeless ranks and increases the level of desperation for poor families. So you should be doing all you can do to put an end to sanctions in Monroe County. They're wrong. There's no reason to delegate a poor person who is struggling to no rent, no help, only the streets and hopelessness. It's just wrong to have that even be on the books as a rule, as a regulation. There is no reason to delegate anyone to that. The other issue I have regarding homelessness is soon the winter shelters that are currently operating will be closing in the next few days. What is the administration's plan for assisting homeless individuals who have nowhere to go? We have our shelter at the House of Mercy, but sadly, there's a huge number of people out there that need help. And where is the demand from you as our leaders to help these individuals, to give them the hope and the respect and the dignity that is God-given to all of us? So we really have to put people before profits, people before a concern of taxes or whatever, and let's put the money where the people are and never mind the frivolous things that we may be spending money on. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Tracy Taylor. I've spoken many times before you, and I really appreciate your attention this evening. I'm an occupational therapist and a supervisor, and I work at a local agency that provides both early intervention and preschool services to the most vulnerable population that we serve, which is our children. I wanted to thank you in advance of the vote this evening for saying yes to the proposed 15% preschool rate increase for all providers. We appreciate your ongoing support in hearing the voices of the unheard, the children with delays and disabilities who need these very crucial services. While we realize that the county does not set the early intervention rates, we would ask that you continue to advocate for early intervention at the state level. As was said earlier, there are currently 212 children on the wait list for early intervention services in Monroe County. Many on this wait list have been waiting since October of 2018 for occupational and speech therapy services, and since July of 2018 for teacher of the deaf services. And I would also ask you to please not forget your county workers, the service coordinators who provide constant support throughout a child's time in the early intervention program. Just within this past month, Anne Marie Stefan, who is the Special Children's Service Administrator, announced her resignation from the early intervention and preschool programs. She has been our steadfast lead and support in providing these much-needed services to children, and she is now leaving us. She's leaving the county, and that leaves an incredible void of leadership. We are short service coordinators at the county. They are dwindling in numbers. Just this month, the agency that I work for accepted a resignation from a social worker, one of maybe 4 in the entire county who provide social work services for families who need those services. And again this month, there was another resignation from an ongoing service coordinator, one of the very few left from the agencies outside of the county who actually provide ongoing service coordination services. Make no mistake, there is still a significant crisis at the county level with early intervention. Please support your own workers who were not included in the state 5% increase. That increase was only for physical therapists, occupational therapists, and speech therapists. It does not cover special educators, nutritionists, social workers, service coordinators, teachers of the deaf. I could go on and on about the people it does not cover. We appreciate so much how you have all heard us and how you have been advocates for the most vulnerable population that we serve. We want to work with you and for you to make these changes. We will continue to come back and come back and come back again and again. And as Liz said so eloquently earlier, we invite any of you to come out and spend a day with us. Spend a day traveling with us to see children, where we eat our lunch in the car and we have to run into the Wegmans to use the bathroom because we're going from child to child to child. We do this work because we love this work, but we also need to have enough providers to do the work, and the providers are dwindling. Thank you very much.
Good evening. Bridget Hurley from the Children's Agenda. And a couple of topics tonight. Thought I would just give you a brief update on the New York State budget for those of you who perhaps have not heard about some of the allocations that impact children. So, of course, we all know that early intervention reimbursement rates were raised by 5%, which is really, really exciting, long overdue, and we hope the beginning of an upward trend. There was a small $26 million allocation for childcare that will unfortunately not meet any more slots available. No additional subsidies available through the state childcare subsidy program. That's money that's going to be dedicated to increasing reimbursements for providers, which is also needed, and will hopefully keep some high-quality providers in the field. But we have some more work to do to serve more families. And finally, the raise the age. There was $200 million of funding, so which is double from last year. Certainly anticipating the addition of 17-year-olds this year to those who will be treated as juveniles in the criminal justice system. We are still concerned about how Monroe County is actually going to get paid. It's a reimbursement process, has to be approved. I don't know yet whether our plan was approved, but there's many counties I know who are still waiting for their plan to be approved. So we will continue to advocate with you and on behalf of Monroe County to make sure that we get the important funding for that program. We are actually looking at the Rochester City School District budget right now as well. And I'll tell you a couple of things that we found. One, very encouraging, is that the graduation rate for students with disabilities has increased. There's actually a 45-year trend of increase in graduation rates for kids with disabilities. So we're really happy about that. Unfortunately, the preschool special education program is, the word I guess would be shifted over to the K-12 special education program in the city school district. That's not part of their funding cuts. That is just simply because there are not providers and evaluators available for the district to use. About 900 kids go through that system every year, and it's going to be much more challenging moving forward, and there will possibly be folks working with those preschoolers who don't often work with preschoolers and don't understand the developmental needs of that population. So I wonder about these kids and their graduation rates. I think the children who are graduating this year in the city school district were served by providers who I think were probably paid about the same as the providers right now. So that does not bode well. It certainly doesn't bode well for all the kids that we've heard about tonight that are waiting for services. So, and finally, of course, I'm going to be optimistic and say thank you for approving the 15% raise in reimbursement rates for preschool special education here in the county. It's important for those families, important for those providers, and just a note of encouragement for all of us who have been working on this for a long time. Thank you.
This concludes the public forum.
Okay, I'm going to call a 5-minute recess for one. Okay? 5 minutes. I'd like to call the meeting back to order, please. We will now proceed with the consideration of motions, resolutions, and notices. Will the clerk read the next item on the agenda?
Number 1, referral 19-0070.
Moved by legislator Boyce, seconded by legislator Delahanty. This is to adopt. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 2, referral 19-0071.
Moved by legislator Boyce, seconded by legislator Delahanty. This is to adopt. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 3, referral 19-0071.BR.
Moved by legislator Boyce, seconded by legislator Delahanty. This is to adopt. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 4, referral 19-0072.
Moved by legislator Terp, seconded by legislator Delahanty. This is to adopt. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 5, referral 19-0073.
Moved by legislator Bruce, seconded by legislator Delahanty. This is to adopt. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 6, referral 19-0074.
Moved by legislator Bruce, seconded by legislator Delahanty. This is to adopt. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 7, referral 19-0075.
Moved by legislator Howland, seconded by legislator Delahanty. This is to adopt. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 8, referral 19-0076.
Moved by legislator Howland, seconded by legislator Delahanty. This is to adopt. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 9, referral 19-0077.
Moved by legislator Howland, seconded by legislator Delahanty. This is to adopt. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 10, referral 19-0078.
Moved by legislator Zale, seconded by legislator Delahanty and legislator Turk. This is to adopt. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 11, referral 19-0079.
Moved by legislator Zale, seconded by legislator Delahanty. This is to adopt. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 12, referral 19-0080.
Move it, Mr. President.
Moved by legislator Delahanty, seconded by legislator Rocco. This is to adopt. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 13, referral 19-0081.
Moved by legislator Howland, seconded by legislator Delahanty. This is to adopt. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor. Oh, I'm sorry, legislator Broth. I didn't see you there. With the floor.
I need to grow some more. I need to get higher. So thank you for recognizing me, Mr. President. I just want to follow up on a conversation we had in Ways and Means regarding this referral about whether or not all the contracts were signed for the property rights. So through the President to the administration, has that been updated?
There has been no change. We continue to try and negotiate with 2 property owners and waiting for one to return from their winter Florida residence.
And which property owner would that be through the President?
Through the President, I don't have the names with me, but I could provide them.
Well, through the President of the Administration, and the reason we ask this question is whether or not these property owners are going to be forced to relinquish the rights to their land by eminent domain or not. That's really why I asked this question. Can the Administration assure us that that will not occur in these 2 cases?
Through the chair, these are only easements. These are not fee acquisitions, and at this point in time, I cannot guarantee that eminent domain wouldn't be used if we can't come to negotiation.
Well, at this point in time, even though I know the easements, there's still the property owners, right to those easements. They have to be negotiated with. Do you anticipate that eminent domain will be necessary for either one of these two property owners? We only know one is in a winter residence. I don't know anything about the other one yet.
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Sure. First, I stated that even though these are only property easements and the land is not being taken away in their entirety, it's still the property owner's decision whether or not they want to grant these easements unless we use eminent domain. So you mentioned that one property owner is in a winter residence someplace. I was going to ask, what is the situation with the second property that we do not yet have an agreement with?
Through the President, we have provided all the requested information from the property owner in order to try and provide enough information so that the property owner is comfortable with signing the easement.
Do we anticipate through the President that this is going to occur?
We, through the President, we are hopeful that this will be enough information to get the property owner to sign.
And on the matter of the property owner who's in a winter residence someplace, are we going to be waiting until they return before anything is done through the President?
Through the President, that's correct.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Legislator Morelli.
Administration, given that the paperwork hasn't been signed, will this work to the project involved?
Through the President, only in the area that where the property owners have not signed the agreements.
So through you, Mr. President, that you can move forward and there won't be a significant amount of delay in the project? Is that correct?
Through the President, that's correct.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 14, referral 19-0086.
Moved by Legislator Bruce, seconded by Legislator Delahanty. This is to adopt. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 15, referral 19-0086.BR.
Moved by Legislator Bruce, seconded by Legislator Delahanty. This is to adopt. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed? Item carries. Next item. There being no unfinished business, Legislator Marionetti.
Adjourned until 6 p.m. Tuesday, May 14th, 2019.